I wrote this review on Easter Sunday, so let's see exactly what I thought of this episode by throwing some shades. What the hell is this? Why did I throw the Anyway. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode review. Beast Morphers has been incredibly strong with its characterization, but there have been 3 characters that have been left aside in that until now. Let's take a look at a story about the Rangers Beast Bots by taking a look at the 7th episode of Beast Morphers, A Friend Indeed. The episode begins with Blaze and Roxy teleporting into a train yard to make a Robotron. They pick the standard engine of a regular train, and 2 weird things result from this. 1, the Robotron materializes from the train car instead of completely transforming it. And 2, the Robotron is clearly based on a standard Thomas the Tank Engine style train car, but it looks more like a subway train car, or really more likely a Japanese bullet train. And they have created a robotic monster out of a train in order to capture data from the Beast Bots about the Megazord. You see, they've keyed in on the Beast Bots as being key to the Rangers forming their Megazord. All of that makes a lot of sense and actually ties in very, very nicely to Evox ordering them to find a way to stop the Megazord at the end of the previous episode. The thing is, why a train? That doesn't make any sense. If you want something computerized to get data, how about a pile of Ethernet cables or a Wi-Fi modem? Or if you want to go really general about sucking in data, how about a vacuum cleaner? Over at Grid Battle Force, Devin and Ravi are sparring for a workout, with Smash coaching up Ravi some. When they finish, Smash offers Ravi a blueberry drink, but he just wants water. Maybe it's a keto thing or something. Devin happily takes the drink since he doesn't seem to have one. Cruz then walks in with Devin's favorite drink, but he's got a drink now. Devin asks him if he took that shortcut that he told him about, and he says no, and then stammers about why he wouldn't have done that. Devin just says to forget it, shaking it off and leaving. Ravi wanted to go another round, so Smash offers to spar with him instead. However, Smash punches really lightly, not wanting to hurt Ravi. As Ravi tells Smash that that's not good enough, he notices that Smash got some green stuff on his shirt. Smash says it must have come from when he was eating lunch, but Ravi points out that robots don't eat. Being a green substance and involving the Beast Bots eating lunch, I thought it might have actually been a little Morphex, but Ravi just dismisses it and says he has other things to do. Zoe enters Nate's lab looking for Jax. Nate says that he was just there and dropped off a bag. She thinks it's the office supplies she asked him for. Which makes me wonder why Zoe sent a yellow rabbit robot that doesn't even have fingers to go and retrieve her office supplies. Or why she thought that an office clerk would be perfectly fine with a little yellow rabbit robot shopping for office supplies. Anyway, the bag is instead full of party supplies, party hats and napkins and plates and etc. Jax enters the lab, surprised to see Zoe back so soon from whatever she was doing that apparently didn't involve picking up office supplies, and claims that the clerk must have given him the wrong bag. Ben and Betty then come in, equally surprised to see Zoe, and make a big show with Jax about, oh no, the wrong bag, so hard to find good help these days, and say that they'll help Jax go pick up the right bag. It is beyond obvious what's going on right now, but plot convenience demands that Zoe doesn't realize it. I mean, they just lay this on pretty thick. Devin and Ravi enter the lab and ask what's going on, and Zoe says that Jax messed up, getting party supplies instead of office supplies. Okay, seriously, did you think he was just lying to you? I mean, okay, he was lying to you, but the excuse was perfectly reasonable. I'm pretty sure office supply stores like Staples, for example, do have a small array of party supplies for office parties. Or Jax could have gone to some big department store like Walmart or Target and just have been given the wrong bag. If you haven't picked up on it yet, this is because we're pushing a narrative where the Rangers are really dissatisfied with their Beast Bots. Devin is upset that Cruz is so forgetful, and this still makes absolutely no sense. Cruz is either deleting information that he needs, which is a programming flaw, or Nate programmed in the quirk on purpose, which could still be really dangerous if the wrong information is deleted. Ravi is upset that Smash is always mothering him. Yeah, screw those robots just caring about you and not wanting to actually hurt you or anything. Zoe says she sometimes wishes the Beast Bots would just do what they were told without any of the drama. Yeah, why do they have to have personalities and be our friends? Why can't they just be our robotic slaves instead? Although, if Kaizoku and Chomsey would just follow orders without question... Guys, I was kidding. Nate had told the Rangers to meet him behind Grid Battle Force for some mission training and to not forget their Beast X blasters, which he had been working on. He also takes a Beast X blaster outside. It's important for the plot, as we're going to see, but just, now there's 4 instead of 3. Interesting. Anyway, the Rangers get out there, but nobody's there. Suddenly, a car drives through some boxes that were set up as a wall for some reason, and Ravi screams that it must be E-Box. Must it? We can just barely see through the windshield that there are Tronics driving the car, but I'm not sure the Rangers would have been able to notice. Anyway, they shoot at the car a little bit and then just give up. They just brace themselves to get hit by the car instead of, diving out of the way of it, but the car just goes straight through them. Nate pops out and sucks the car into his blaster because it was a hologram. A hologram, Ravi asks. Do you mean that it was an illusion? Do you not know what the word hologram means, Ravi? Nate explains to them that he's installed hologram generators into each of their Beast Blasters that they can use when they get in a jam. Interesting. The Beast Bots come out and ask the Rangers to take a break, just for a few minutes, but the Rangers brush them off, saying they're learning about a new weapon. 1, you're learning about a new feature of an old weapon, and 2, you've learned it. Your blaster can make holograms now. That's all you needed to know. Tronics attack, and Nate tells the Beast Bots that this is not a drill, these are real. They hide as the Rangers go to work fighting them, but soon they declare there are just too many of them, and they morph. I'm sorry, but the Rangers morphing to fight grunts is always going to make them seem ineffectual. Just deal with them. It just violates that unspoken escalation rule. So, as the Rangers are fighting, the Beast Bots are watching and encouraging them from hiding places. But Railtron sneaks around behind them and snatches memory data from Cruz and Smash. He then shows up behind Jax and prepares to attack him, but we have to wait through the theme song and commercials to see if he succeeds. Zoe spots Railtron and shoots it, saving Jax. Blaze teleports in and asks what happened. Railtron says he was only able to get data from 2 of the Beast Bots, and Blaze says that'll have to do for now, the 2 teleporting away. Jax points out that something's wrong with Cruz and Smash, and the 2 Beast Bots reboot, sounding completely robotic, saying they're ready to serve their Rangers. Back in the lab, Nate says that Railtron stole a whole bunch of their memory data, though it's unclear exactly what he got at this point. He does know that they don't remember being friends with the Rangers, just that they're supposed to serve them. Ravi and Devin, who had a great big bowl of butthole bites for breakfast that morning, see this as a boon. It's exactly what they wanted. Simple obedience without the forgetfulness or the mothering. I will also say that this does directly imply that Cruz's forgetfulness is a personality trait and not a fault or error. Zoe steps in as the 2 step out, and Nate is absolutely incredulous. He would give anything to have someone in his life who cared about him as much as the Beast Bots care about their Rangers. Zoe makes sure that we don't miss the plot point, saying Nate really wants a brother. She points out that brothers can be just as annoying as they can be helpful, and says that even Jax gets on her nerves sometimes. Nate gives her a look that implies that she's no better than the other two Rangers, so she very wisely changes the subject and asks what data the Railtron was able to get. Nate still isn't sure, but says he's going to find out even if he has to pull an all-nighter to do so. Meanwhile, Devin is riding Cruz and comments on how well he's obeying and what good time they're making, and tells him to take that shortcut that he mentioned earlier. And it turns out that this is a terrible shortcut. It cuts through a little grove of growing trees and even through a mud bog, which gets them messy. Devin asks why Cruz would possibly take this shortcut, and the robotic Cruz points out that it's exactly what Devin told him to do. Meanwhile, Robbie and Smash get ready to work out, with Robbie saying that he doesn't want Smash to wait until he's ready or to hold back, just to treat this like a real fight. Smash agrees and immediately punches Robbie, throwing him across the room in incredibly satisfying fashion. Robbie gets up and asks what the heck that was. He wasn't ready. But Smash points out that that is exactly what Robbie asked him to do. Robbie's not even as understanding as Devin was, saying he didn't mean it. Hit him again, Smash. He said not to wait for him to be ready. He said to treat this like a real fight. Knock his blood out! Zoe finds Jax in the hallway and asks about her tablet. Jax says he put it in Nate's lab on the charger, but she says she was just in the lab and it wasn't there. She plans to check the room that Jax just exited, despite him saying that it's not in there. Her code doesn't work, and when she asks him what the code to the door is, he says that he doesn't know, despite the fact that he just exited that room, meaning he was just in there. She tells him to forget it. Nate was absolutely amazing in this episode for pointing out to the Rangers just how stupid they were being. Devin and Robbie came to him to complain once again, but Nate points out that the Beastbots did exactly what the Rangers told them to do, but apparently they were the ones that made the mistake. The Rangers agree, and Nate just rolls his eyes and leaves. Zoe comes in, exasperatedly asking about her tablet and saying how she sometimes feels like they would be better off if they didn't have Beastbots. Just as her Beastbot enters the room behind her, she tries to apologize, but he simply moves her coat out of the way, revealing she had hung it directly in front of the tablet, blocking it from her view. He hands it to her, demonstrating that he can apparently generate these little plastic appendages at the end of his arms, and then leaves, even as she asks him to wait. The Rangers all chase after Jax into the room that Zoe was trying to get into, and here we have the big reveal, since, as I've said before, anyone with 2 digits in their age, even the higher single digits in this case, saw this coming from a mile away. The Beastbots had been planning a surprise party for the Rangers, thanking them for being a friend in true Golden Girl style, and for being so brave in fighting Evox. Cruz was helping with getting party supplies, hence not taking the shortcut that Devin suggested since he needed to be somewhere else, and being late, and the green that Smash got on Robbie's shirt was not Morph X but frosting on a giant cake they had made. I'm not entirely sure why you have the giant gorilla frosting the cake. He is the tallest, I'll say that much, and maybe he's a master baker, what do I know? I'm kind of 50-50 on this next part because it does feature some very nice acting from Jacqueline as Zoe realizes what a B+ itch she has been and genuinely telling Jax how much he means to her and that she's taken him for granted. However, Robbie and Devin snap around just as quickly on this despite not being directly involved with this particular moment, saying they don't deserve Beastbots and they've been terrible to them. I'll get back to this. Nate comes rushing in and says he's found the key in the missing data from the Beastbots, the data on how to control the Megazord. Robbie says that they would then need Jax's data, and Devin points out that if they got it, they could then control the Megazord. About that plan seems to be a little bit off. Wouldn't they need to physically capture both the Zords and the Beastbots in order to control the Megazord? Anyway, Jax realizes that his data is now vital, which makes him a very lovely piece of bait. Zoe protests, now just loving her Beastbot so huggy-buggy much and not wanting to put him in danger, but the other Rangers point out that this is really the only way to get Cruz and Smash back to normal, and Jax says he knows the Rangers will keep him safe. They all head back to the train yard looking for Railtron near where he was created, because Railtron would just wait near home instead of, returning to the cyber dimension or something. The Rangers very loudly declare their intention to split up, Devin even going to examine the side of a warehouse or something. Jax rolls off alone, looking for Railtron, who pops out and threatens to take his memories. Railtron calls Jax a worthless little bunny. Jax says worthless is fine, but nobody calls him little. I thought nobody called him cute. He is little. He's the smallest of the Beastbots by a pretty significant margin. Anyway, he screams now when Zoe pops out of a box that was a hologram. She smacks the Beastbot data out of Railtron's hand, because Railtron was just holding it in his hand for some reason instead of keeping it safe somewhere. Devin and Robbie pop out of 2 other fake boxes and Zoe recovers the data. She gives the discs to Jax, telling him to hurry them back to Nate, and he agrees, rolling off at a solid 2 miles an hour. Shouldn't they have had a car waiting or something? Anyway, the Rangers go to work fighting Railtron and really have no problem at all dealing with him, kicking him around and even blasting some rail parts he throws at them. They finish Railtron off with what I think is a new move, the Beast X Slash. Scrozzle sends an alpha model Gigadrone that morphs into Raildrone, but included a couple of surprises. 2 Gigatronics, the giant grunts of this season. The Rangers run back to the lab just as Nate re-uploads the stolen data to Cruise and Smash. Devin says this better work so they can use the Megazord. Robbie says, more importantly, they'll get their friends back. No, Robbie, at this point the Megazord is definitely more important. It works and the Beastbots get their personalities back. Robbie and Devin quickly reunite with their Beastbots and then everybody runs off to deploy the Zords. The Wheeler Zord goes gorilla mode, but the robots have the early advantage blasting the Zords around since there's 3 of them. Although there's 3 Zords too, so... Anyway, the robots then decide to form a train formation to attack together, and the Rangers take inspiration from the idea of combining, forming the Beast X Megazord. The Gigatronics leap into the air to attack, but the Megazord fires a sword blast that destroys them. Devin summons the gun, sword finisher, and a battle against 3 giant robots ends just as anticlimactically as their battles against 1 do. Back at Grid Battle Force, the Beastbots enter a dark room, wondering if they're meeting the Rangers in the right place or if somebody's messed up again. But then the Rangers reveal their own surprise. They've reworked the party into a surprise for the Beastbots, who are now their very bestest friends. Anyway, Nate asks if anybody has seen Ben and Betty, and the Beastbots realize they did forget something, pounding on the table to let Ben and Betty know to come out since they were hiding inside the cake the entire time. The 2 say it's fine, they've just been in there eating the cake, and Betty unleashes a Victor and Monty-like burp that some people apparently consider to be funny. In the cyber dimension, Scrozzle is hard at work, sending Tronics this way and that with supplies, including that robotic head. Blaze and Roxy show up and wonder what the heck is going on, and so close to his plan coming to fruition, Scrozzle finally decides to just reveal it to them. He is building a cyber gate, something that will allow Evox to return to the human dimension and take over the morphing grid. The 2 of them look happy about this, despite the fact this is clearly the plan that Scrozzle's been talking about, and he even insulted them while explaining it to them. I wrote this review on Easter Sunday, so let's see exactly what I thought of this episode by throwing some shades. Episode 7, A Friend Indeed. Pros, good characterization for the Beastbots, more development for Nate, and more serial story development. Cons, stilted acting and characterization for the Rangers, confusing elements of Railtron, and a super anticlimactic Zord fight. This episode was more than okay, but not quite really good. It was like, really okay. A Friend Indeed gets 4 shades out of 5. As I hinted at in the preview last week, I was actually really looking forward to this story. The Beastbots have been ever-present characters since the second episode, but we haven't really had the chance to get to know them, and we get that a lot better this week. The one of them that shines the very most is Jax. Absolute credit to voice actor Emmett Skilton, as well as the robotic puppetry team, because we truly see and hear Jax's feelings and emotions. You really start to feel for that little New York cabbie rabbit. Cabot? Smash is okay as we get some direct demonstrations of him mothering Robbie, but we don't get a lot of that, and the main one that we see is Smash not wanting to punch Robbie across a room, which you can see just as much as not wanting to physically injure one of the Power Rangers. Cruz is the worst in this case, not because of acting or anything like that. We get some of Kelson doing a straight-up robotic voice, which is a nice little change. It's just that the thing that Devin is upset about, Cruz being late, just gets attributed back to the thing about Cruz that we already know, that he's forgetful. But overall, we get a real sense that the Beastbots care for their Rangers, and in the end of this episode, we get that that's reciprocal now, and the Rangers really care for their Beastbots as well. It's just a really good episode to directly establish in canon a very close relationship between the six. And yes, I do mean the six. Did you notice how Zoe only allowed Jax to be bait after Robbie said it was the only way to get Cruz and Smash back? It's clear that she cares about them as well. That close of a relationship can be used for some really good heavy plot notes later on. Nate gets another moment in the spotlight, pushing along his desire to have somebody close to him like a brother, and his repeated irritation at the Rangers taking for granted having such close partners was an excellent little bit for his character arc. As I said, Zoe pointing out his desire to have a brother was kind of unneeded repetition, but besides that, everything with Nate was fantastic. And this episode had more of that serial plot development that I like, stretching out in both directions. Going back to the previous episode, Evox's orders to Blaze and Roxy to find a way to solve the Megazord directly leads to what they were doing in this episode. It's a minor note, but I still love the serial plot details going from one episode to the next that place the episodes in an actual order, so that was nice for me. More majorly, of course, is everything that happened at the end of this episode going into next week. Scrozzle finally reveals his plan, and a cybergate that will allow Evox to escape to the human dimension is obviously a big development that we're going to deal with next week. And of course, as I said, there is still that robot head floating around. The flip side of the focus and quality voice acting from the Beastbots was that the Rangers had maybe their worst episode yet. Their characterization was all over the place, as all three of them were really dicks to their robot companions over really minor things, like getting frosting on a shirt. Although thinking about it, Robbie doesn't do laundry, so he probably felt like he had to throw that shirt away and buy a new one. Or being given the wrong bag. Devin and Robbie realizing they might have gotten just what they wanted with their friends, now brain-dead servants, felt especially gross. Zoe was the best of the three. She was kind of focused on in this episode, but even that's a little iffy because there were a couple of points where she sort of overdid it. Jacqueline makes a few faces in this episode that are going to become memes, just you watch, especially in that last scene where the party's revealed. Overall, you just can't devalue some characters in order to prop up other ones. Railtron confuses me for a couple of reasons. One, why use a train to steal data from robots? Like, I don't even know if this makes sense in the context of the Sentai footage used in the episode. Maybe that sequence near the end where they were at the train yard and Usada was on the battlefield with the Rangers? I guess it just seems like a stretch to use that footage for this story. They haven't been shy about filming original footage in the past. Why stretch this Sentai footage for this kind of story? The other is that for the first time, an object isn't completely transformed into a Robotron, it just generates one. Why? I would have been absolutely fine with the entire train car turning into Railtron. Sure, it's a lot of material condensed into a much tighter space, but maybe it's just a really dense, heavy Robotron. Or maybe it uses some kind of magnetic levitation that makes it able to walk normally. It just seems a little bit inconsistent. Either transform the object or generate from it. And I am coming to terms with the fact that most of the Zord fights week to week are going to be pretty short. Heck, thinking back to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, most of those Zord fights were pretty short. Form the Megazord, 2 attacks, and then the finisher. But they inserted a new element into the Zord fight this time, the Gigatronics, and it didn't make a difference to anything. They messed with the Gorilla Zord for a little bit, but then the Rangers formed the Megazord and there was absolutely no challenge. It kind of feels like the Zord fights are becoming a sad casualty of increased time spent on character development and plot. Overall, the word I would use to describe this episode is nice. A great story for the Beast Bots, a nice little story that hints at things coming down the road. It was nice. How soon are those developments coming, though? Let's take a look at the 8th episode of Beast Morphers, The Cybergate Opens.
Scrozzle executes his plan to finally free Ebox from the cyber dimension, and the Rangers, along with an unexpected friend, must do everything in their power to stop him.
Will this be the last episode that airs before the dreaded hiatus? By the time this episode airs, we'll probably know. For now, that's going to do it for another Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Down in the comments below, let me know what you thought of this episode as well as my review of it. And while you're down there, make sure to smack that thumbs up button. Let me know that you enjoyed this video and you liked it very much. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see all of my videos, and ring the bell. This is more important lately, actually. I just saw something on Twitter about how YouTube has out and out admitted that just because you're subscribed to a channel doesn't mean you're getting notifications from that channel. There's a tier and an algorithm, of course, because YouTube's favorite word is algorithm, that determines what notifications you're getting from channels unless you ring that bell. Get your notifications set up so you'll be notified whenever I post brand new videos like these Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode reviews. If you want to be notified whenever I post videos, find that bell icon and click on that so you get your notifications set up. If you'd like to lend any financial support to my channel, there are 2 ways that you can do so. Head over to ko-fi.com/OrangeRangerVideos. You can get me a coffee set at $3 a piece. I'd greatly appreciate that. Or you can head over to digitaltipjar.com/OrangeRangerVid. You can donate me any amount you would like there. Toss some change in that tip jar. I greatly appreciate anything that lands inside. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. 2 weird things result as the Robotron... You see, they've keyed in on the Beast Bots as being... She thinks it's the office supply she asked for, but when she looks in the bag, yeah. Oh no, the wrong bag. So hard to find good help these days, etc. I am not including a take where I stared at the TV that long. Devin and Robbie enter the lab and ask what going... Obedience and simple instructions without the personality quirks. Yeah. She plans to check the room that Jax just left. The Beast Bots enter a dark room at Grid Battle Force, wondering if they're meeting the Rangers in the right. But then the Rangers reveal their own surprise. A friend indeed gets a 4 out of 5. Fox! One main instance being Robbie not wanting to punch. Nate gets another moment in the spotlight with his and a cybergate that will allow Evox to escape back to the human dimension is obviously a big plot development that we're going to deal with next week. And of course, there is still that robot head floating around. Overall, the word I would describe to use this... If you'd like to lend any financial support to my channel, there are 2 ways you can do so. Head over to ko-fi.com/OrangeRangerVid. Also, you can head over to digitaltipjar.com/OrangeRangerVideos. I did that backwards. Split it from the